Good morning, everyone. Hello, happy Friday. I was just telling everyone in the background that I was waiting to start the broadcast until this cuckoo clock stopped in the background. I do that every Friday. Welcome to Open Office Hours. I am Crystal. I will let the team introduce themselves, including Andy. Go for it.
Hey everybody, it's Tatiana. Welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Brandy. Nice to see you guys.
Hey everybody, I'm Hannah. Welcome.
Hey everybody, I'm Andy. Happy to be here again.
We are happy to have you. So for those of you that are joining us for the first time, welcome to Open Office Hours. Wanted to just let everyone know we use the Q&A. That's kind of the best way for us to manage questions as they are flowing in. So I always mention if you see me looking over here, I'm probably just going through that queue. And really, all questions are okay. It does not matter if you are just trialing Synchro, you've never seen it before, you've been with us for years. Really, whatever questions you've had throughout the week or month or whatever, just feel free to throw those right into the Q&A. And as you can see, we've got Andy here. So one of the things that you probably all have seen and heard, whether it's through Facebook, Reddit, and email, we've had a ton of changes this week that we're very, very excited about. So we thought it'd be appropriate, since Andy is definitely handling a ton of the community organization, that he be here to maybe summarize some of those updates for us. And then he'll be here to help us answer some questions. But any questions are okay. So it doesn't have to be related to anything that we open this up with. So really whatever questions you have. But I figured we'd give Andy the floor for the first few minutes and just kind of let him walk through the updates we have for you all.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of stuff going on this past week. This is probably like the biggest set of features we've probably ever released at the same time. For those of you who don't know, there's 4 big ones that are going to be rolling out over the next 1 to 2 months. First one is the inclusion of Splash Top, and this is not the bring your own variant. It's going to be fully integrated, and that's going to be replacing Syncro Live's remote desktop. So there's just going to be a remote access button everywhere on the platform. You click it, it's going to be one-click access to a Splash Top session. There's no subscription you have to worry about. There's no configuration. You just enable it at the policy level. If you don't want it, you can disable at the policy level. It's fairly straightforward. We had a lot of folks asking when we announced that if Syncro Live is going away, and it's not. Syncro Live's remote desktop is being deprecated, but the full suite of tools like the task manager and the registry editor, stuff like that, all of that's going to remain. We're just going to name that backgrounding tools within the platform, so the name will shift a little bit. There is also another feature of Splash Top which will let you enable work from home or remote access for your end users. And that is going to be, there's no charge for Splash Top. There's going to be a charge for enabling it for end users, and that's going to be $5 per contact. And it's per contact, not per asset. So that your end users will be able to access their assets remotely through the customer portal. And if they have 3 assets assigned to them, they'll be able to connect to all 3 machines. If they have rights to see all of that customer's assets, then they'll be able to connect to all the assets belonging to that customer from the portal. And that's same flat $5 fee. The last component to that is, obviously it sucks to have to manually count all that stuff. So we are integrating this into our dynamic billing system. So we'll handle all the counting, we'll handle all the invoicing. If you have credit cards applied to the customer, we'll bill them too. You don't have to do anything. Next up is my favorite one, that's policy adherence. People have been asking for that forever. We're basically moving away from the notion of assigning policies to assets specifically. There's going to be a new policy tab in customer records, and you're going to see initially just a folder for that customer. And you can assign a policy directly to that folder. Then you can create up to 5 sublevels of folders beneath the primary customer folder. And within each level, you can have as many folders as you like. You can apply policies to each folder, and they will basically all aggregate into one quote unquote effective policy, which means, as a quick example, you could have your core policy, and that would be at the customer level. You can make a folder below that that says backups, And if you have a customer, and on that policy, all you have is backups. On your customer policy, you've got everything you want. Any asset that appears anywhere, regardless of how deep your tree goes, is going to have every policy from every folder above it applied. And you can also assign policies to the asset itself. If you want to have like a final one-off, this asset needs to do this, or you want to physically block something specific from happening on an asset, you can do that as well. We're going to be adding sites, some site support probably later in the year, and it will also flow into policy adherence as well. So eventually you'll be able to do site-specific policies as well. The third big announcement was Mac Agent. We have rewritten a new Mac Agent from scratch. It does everything the previous agent did, except it works much better now. It supports the most recent 3 versions of Mac OS, including Big Sur. It supports the new M1 processor, and that actually rolled out into open beta 2 days ago. So if anybody wants to go ahead and play with it, you can do that. If you go to your list of asset installers, there's going to be one called Mac V2 Beta. And if you click that, besides the download link, there's going to be a Learn More button. And that'll go to like an FAQ, and it talks about like what permissions you need, how to do silent installations, and it has like a feature matrix so you know exactly what it will do and what it won't do. And the last thing is we're announcing an internal report builder. We've built this really cool executive summary report over the past couple months, which is designed obviously to go to your customers. This is virtually the same thing, but it's designed for you to use internally. So the 2 big changes are that you can now scope each block specifically to a customer. So if you're tracking a list of VIP customers once a week or once a month, whatever the time frame is, you can actually see the same set of information, but across a couple specific customers at a glance. And you're also able to assign each block to your entire fleet of customers. So it will be like a metric for your company, taking everything into account. We're also releasing a couple cool things that folks asked for. One of them is a customer list. If you want to bring up a list of like VIP customers that meet some kind of qualification, or you're trying to see customers that might be cold in a list, something like that. And then we're also releasing a contact list, which will also flow into the executive summary report builder. And a lot of folks were saying, hey, my customers want to know specifically what employees are being billed, and I don't want to have to change my invoice every month to denote that. So this will show up on the bill, or excuse me, on the report. And again, all of that stuff is going to be rolling out over the next 1 to 2 months, give or take. We're hoping to have it all ready between 4 and 6 weeks. The second part of this is that prices are increasing slightly. Both plans, the annual and monthly plan, are going up $20 a month. That's happening on April 30th. We had an advanced plan that is being deprecated. So now it's pretty simple. There's one plan, the quote unquote MSP plan. And there was a lot of questions about what happens if people are on annual subscriptions, or how does that take hold exactly? And it's basically whenever your renewal date comes up, if it's on or after 4/30, it's going to apply the new price. Anything that happens before that is going to apply at the current price. So for example, if you guys want to save money, you can do this right now. Go sign up for an annual plan. It's going to be at $99 times 12 months, obviously, per user. And then that pricing will stay in place until your annual subscription comes up for renewal a year from now. So you've got a 30-day window to do that if anybody is interested in doing that. Yeah, that's all I got. So any questions, which I'm sure there's going to be some, happy to answer.
There are just a couple questions on policies. If do you want to get to those right now? Evan wants to know, will the policies look the same as they do now? You'll just be able to nest them, or will the structure of the policies change too?
So for the policies themselves, they're going to be the same thing. One change that we're making is that policies are a little bit annoying right now, in my opinion, if you only want to turn one thing on. For instance, there's like 50 options, and if you only have one thing on, you want to be like, hey, what does this policy do? You kind of have to scroll through and see what's enabled. So we're shifting that logic, and you're basically going to add components to the policy that you want. It's all the same stuff that's always been there. But now if you look at a policy, you're going to be like, oh, I know it does these 3 things because that's all I'm looking at. There is a little bit of a structure change too, because of the way policy adherence will work. It's no longer like it's on or it's off as far as any specific setting goes. There's actually 3 states now. If you add it and you don't turn it on, that's effectively disabled, meaning like, I don't want this to happen. if you didn't add it at all, that's kind of what it's like today, not enabling it. It's just not considered at all. And then obviously if you add it and turn it on, that's considered enabled. So it still looks like a full policy. The full policy gets applied at every level. And then we're calling something which is the effective policy, that you can go to any folder level or any asset level and say, hey, I want to see what the effective policy is. And that is basically taking everything above it, aggregating it together. And it's like, this is everything that's going to happen to this machine. So it works much more efficiently, but it's going to be all the same stuff.
Awesome. And I have not heard of this, but Alex wants to know, does the policies allow side-by-side implementation with deep freeze? I don't
Cool.
know.
If I knew what that meant, I can answer it. I think deep freeze is that thing where you can like reset assets. Is that the deep freeze you're talking about?
I've never heard of it, but this is the second time I've heard of it this week. Someone else mentioned it to me.
So there was a thing for like shopping malls and like places that were like renting computers where if anything happens to them, you can like reset. Every time they reset, they go back to like a factory default. I don't know if that's what this user's talking about though.
He said yes.
Okay. It's sorry. So you were asking if policies will support that. I have to be honest, I don't know. If it works today, then it would work with this. It's not going to change, but I guess if you had the installer set as like installed and then you froze it and then you restarted it, it should pick it up as the same asset in the, let's say, I think so. I can't say for sure. Sorry on that one.
No, that's definitely fair. Go ahead, Brandy. You want to take a couple?
Sure. Just since Andy was just talking about the price increase, I did drop in the chat box. You guys, if you are to purchase an annual license in April, you're going to save $360 per tech per year over what you would be paying May 1st. So I dropped the breakdown for you just so you're able to see that. That definitely adds up. Andy is asking, it sounds like a plan to buy an annual subscription now, but if I do, is it possible to buy a second subscription on a monthly basis for a second tech? It's not. So everyone would have to be on the same plan. Sorry for that, but yes, you would all need that. And then Laura's asking, can you review the customer detail report? It appears to pull information from the wrong fields in the ticket summary section, as in the heading issue, it pulls from the ticket type dropdown, and type, it pulls from the field name from the ticket custom type. I posted this in the Facebook group. So this is a really good question. It's actually come up before. It's not pulling the wrong information. I think we could just change the verbiage. So you're saying right here, the tickets by issue is actually pulling from the type here, and then the type right here is pulling from custom fields. I think that's just something we could pass along to our team to maybe change the terminology here. But I also wanted to mention that this report, I know it's nice in terms of like your time tracking and such, but it's a little outdated in my opinion compared to like our executive summary report builder. This is awesome. And if you want to even build more information out for your customers, so this, of course, will still have like your ticket information, but you can also pull in the RMM, your antivirus. So this is a much more customizable report. I just have a sample here of some that I have built out, but I would definitely recommend checking out the executive summary report builder. And then also you can schedule this and have it sent to your customer on a regular basis. You can choose who it's going to send to. I love this one, so I would spend some time here.
Awesome. And I think you might have, Laura was just saying, I'm referring to the ticket summary section.
Okay, let me just pull that up.
Okay.
Okay, so you said the customer detail report though, right? Oh, the ticket summary. Issue. Yeah, it's the same thing. This is the same exact thing as the ticket summary. The type is pulling from the custom field, just like it is right here. So again, that's just something that we should update the terminology here, but it's not pulling from the wrong fields.
Awesome. Thank you. And this is so, I love this. So Alex, I don't think I've ever shown this report, maybe ever, but I love it. A geographical list view on a mapping software to show where all the customers are located, mostly helpful for sending on-site texts. So I don't again, I haven't shown this very often, But let me just head over. We actually have this really cool customer map here in customer reports. And if you have not seen this, if you go to the map, it'll actually show you, sorry, I don't know if I'm cutting out or anything like that, but it's loading slow. But I can actually put like a map here of all my customers. I can go to a satellite view. And I mean, I don't have any customers that are located near me in this demo account, but if I start to scroll out, you can see like where all my customers in this demo account are located, which is pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever shown this. I don't know if I've ever shown this on a call before. So hopefully that's helpful. What else do we have?
I have a question, a clarification question from Evan. He says, I just switched to yearly the other day. If we add another tech in 6 months, is that purchase prorated so everyone would renew at the same time? Yes, that new tech would pay, that would be billed for the rest of the remaining 6 months. And then all of you would renew from when you purchase your original license.
Did we confirm if they would be paying the prorated amount for the 99 or the new annual?
I believe that if it's after the 30th, it would be the new pricing.
Just wanted to confirm that.
Andy?
Sorry, I actually think it's the opposite. We were just testing that the other day. So it looks like if you subscribe now on an annual, after the price increase, if you want to add another user, you're going to get prorated at the price you initially paid. So you'll only get
Great.
a price increase on anything after your subscription renews the next time.
Wow, that's great news. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yay.
Fuzi's asking any update on tiered pricing. So no updates there on like a limited user type of a license, if that's what you're referring to. We did get rid of the advanced tier. So right now we just have one tier, just the MSP tier moving forward. Another question from Andy. So thanks for confirming the subscription. After 1 year, can I revert back to monthly? Just trying to think ahead for when I take on a second tech, which initially may be on an ad hoc basis or a trial basis. So after your 12 months is up, you can absolutely change over to monthly, just like you can change over from monthly to annually at any point in time. You would be able to change after 12 months to monthly. You would just want to let us know probably. I don't know if you have to change that in advance or not from your profile. Just keep us in the loop though, just in case.
Yeah, I think I would recommend if you go to like account profile and
change the plan
before the annual plan goes through, because it'll automatically do that.
Do it like the day before or something.
There's a user asking about, Paul's asking about adding Linux agents. That's not on the roadmap right now, or on the radar, I should say. I'll say never on that one because it's becoming a more popular request, but it is such a small percentage of users still for a complete new agent. But it's something we're looking at. But like I said, if it does happen, it wouldn't be any time in the near future.
Randy is asking, with the elimination of the advanced option, will we get the backups in Domo available now in the standard plan? So that will no longer be available.
All right, I'm just going to read this one out loud from Laura, unless someone wants to grab this one. I haven't read it through yet. Let's see. If that report was customizable, like the executive summary, that would be great. Just trying to come up with a way to provide ticket detail recap for a specific time period to my customers. Is that on the executive summary report, ticket detail? I was thinking maybe you might be able to create that, Laura, using the executive summary report builder. I was thinking.
I think she wants to pick a specific time period too.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Are you looking, Andy?
Yeah, 1 second.
I think the limitation is not the time period. She said you can get the tickets on the executive summary, but it shows by number, not the time period.
All right.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yep.
And then Paul is asking, when is the default Splashtop integration coming? So it's going to be around the time when the price increases. So around the 30th, maybe a little bit after, from what I've been told.
Did you want to grab that, Andy, from Alex?
Yeah, Alex is asking about ad hoc support, which I think is also called SOS in the Splashtop world. That's not something that's going to be supported. We are going to do a limited, we'll call it ad hoc, where you still have to have a Synchro agent installed no matter what, but you can do this with Synchro Live today, where if you're connecting to a machine, you can have it prompt the user and say, hey, is it okay if person XYZ connects to your computer? And it won't initiate the session until that happens. But we're not planning to add anything like the old school, you have a one-off customer who's not going to get a Synchro agent and you put in a code and they download a thing like that. That's not going to be there.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to read this one from Cade. Is there any ability to filter emails based on content? For example, backup notices from automated systems searching for the word failed. So a few things on that I will just say, and maybe Andy wants to follow up with this, but in regards to just the actual question, let me share my screen. I will show, I want to answer this, and then I'll hopefully maybe pass it to Andy to kind of provide maybe what you could do with our backups. But if you have another system and you look at ticket automations, one of the things that you can do, you can do like ticket subject contains. I don't think it does like the body of an email or a ticket that comes in, but if the subject line is like contains failed, let me move our faces here for a second. So if the condition is ticket subject contains failed, for example, this is where like maybe you could filter it, add actions, move it to a different status, assign it to a specific technician. I don't believe it's going to filter the content though. No. So it's just going to be, it would have to be in the subject line. But maybe since, we don't have a ton of questions in the Q&A right now, I just thought maybe it would be, maybe an opportune time to just say, like, if you are using a third-party backup solution and having to deal with filtering emails as they're coming in, our Synchro backups might be a really great solution for you if you have not tried that yet. What else?
I can grab this one at the top from Tito. Nice to see you, Tito. Thank you for joining us today. His question is there a way to charge labor on tickets by default? In other words, have the labor on a ticket auto charge in case the technicians forgot to click charge client? So yes, we do have a button for that. I will show you where to find it. If you go over to more in admin section, scroll down to your tickets right here, preferences, and then make sure you click this additional settings button. It'll open the second half of your ticket settings. Sometimes you guys miss that. So if you scroll down a little bit further, we do have a button in here that will say charge time by default. So you can enable this. This is going to be global for all your customers at this time. And so again, for those of you that are new or perhaps still testing or trialing Synchro and you're trying to figure out what is the difference between charging time to a ticket or not, I'll show you what that looks like in action right on a ticket. So I've opened a ticket here and we have a couple different time entries. We have 3 time entries in here, and you'll notice that all 3 time entries are charged to the ticket, means they're getting billed. These time entries will be carried over to an invoice. So if we look in this outer view charges section, you can see all 3 listed here. So again, the difference between charging time or not on a ticket is choosing if it's going to be billable, if you're going to pass that time entry cost along to your customers. So if I clear the charge on one of these, if we go back to say add or view charges, you'll see that there's only 2 listed here now. So sometimes if it's like internal work, or if a tech messed something up and then you had to spend 4 hours cleaning it up and you don't want to bill the customer for it, but you do still want to track time. Again, these ticket line items that are being charged to the ticket are the ones that will actually carry over to the customer onto their invoice, and they will receive a bill for that time.
Awesome. Thanks, Tatiana. Paul has a question on the price increase. So I just onboarded with Synchro and paid for annual about a week ago. Welcome aboard. First of all, you came at an awesome time because no, you will not be charged the increase for your remaining 11 months. That will come at your renewal. So welcome aboard. We're happy to have you.
Andy, not me, is asking if an annual subscription, so like if he's asking basically if you have add-ons, if they're going to generate a monthly invoice, and they will. So your subscription will remain annual, but all add-ons will always roll monthly.
Awesome, thanks. Are multi-year subscriptions available? Not at this time. Alex, I like it though. But no, not at this time. Month to month or annual. Let's see here. Is anyone reading this one in the background? I haven't read it yet, but I can read it out loud. I have two important functions. Seems like they simply are not there or working. One, bulk update. I have selected several customers and marked them as yes under do not email, and this never updates the company. That, have you reached out to our technical support? I feel like I'm not aware of anything of an issue happening there. So I would definitely want to get our technical support team involved for that. Okay, cool, Kate. I will definitely, I could escalate that too. And then let's see, SLA first response. I have a 15-minute first response SLA in place. However, the timer continues to count down until violated, regardless of whether I take time, send messages to end user, or change status from new to in progress. So I'm just going to show, let me go to service level agreements here really quick. Okay. So I'm going to go to contracts. I'm going to hop over to service level agreements because there are a few things that you can do on your service level agreement. If you're wanting to, there's a couple things here. If you're wanting to pause your service level agreement based upon a status. So like if you are waiting for a customer, like if you wanted to pause the service level agreement when your ticket hits that status, then it should stop that the service level agreement countdown. I don't believe it stops the countdown to like time to resolution. But it will, yes, but it will stop your actual SLA timer. So okay, I don't want to pause on status. I want to pause on first response. Anyone?
Yeah, it's not first response, it's general time to response. So, and that would apply to the first response as well. So if it's happening where the time to response isn't changing, like you're still breaching for some reason after you responded, I'd send a note into support, but I'm not aware of anyone else having that issue. So it may be a config thing or something specific to your account. So I would definitely send that to support, but it's supposed to work where you have two SLA timers, time to resolution and time to response. And you can also, like Krista was saying, individually pause as needed. So it should be working that way.
Okay, so you're saying if they have like time to response 2 hours and they respond within an hour, like it shouldn't obviously breach.
Yeah, and then it should theoretically, it should sit in that state when the customer responds again, then that timer should be counting again. The time to resolution is just whenever the ticket's open to when the ticket is closed. The ticket response should basically recycle its timer every time a new customer response comes into that ticket.
Understood. Okay. Okay, perfect. And then on that if Kate, I'm going to look into the other submission too regarding the first question. So I can do that right now, kind of in the back end. Okay. Let's see. What else should we talk about? I think anytime the Q&A goes like quiet, it like does this roundabout thing and then, yep, there we go. There's a question. Like every time I say it out loud. And then maybe, yeah, Andy, I was just going to ask if you wanted to answer that.
Yeah, so we'll get into like the business aspect of things here. It's not all that uncommon to have multiple contracts on a specific customer. It is a little bit weird to have multiple SLAs for a single customer. Most most contracts, I mean, you may have, it depends on how you do your contracts. You may have a standard SLA, but you might need to increase that if you really want to close a specific customer. So it's not all that uncommon, especially if you have a good mix of like small customers that might be fine with 1-day response, and then a lot of large customers who the world's on fire every time they call you, and you need to kick that up. So it is kind of not, I don't know a nice way to say that, but it's not so uncommon to mix and match like that now. And you're asking determining the best practices for SLAs and contracts. So, all right, let's talk about this conceptually for a minute, and I'll go ahead and get into some business stuff here. I don't like when people use the term best practices for this necessarily. It's whatever you need to do to sell the customer. So if your customer is perfectly happy paying you for a 5-day SLA, awesome. If they're not going to pay you unless you have a 2-day SLA, awesome. If they want to pay you more and you have the capacity to handle a faster SLA, awesome. It really comes down to what you need to do to sell the client and your capacity to deliver on what you're promising the client. So I really would always try to avoid having static prices or having static SLAs and contracts and things. If person A is willing to pay you $1,000 and person B is willing to pay you $2,000 for the same work, close it at $2,000. It's not any more complex than that. So I would avoid that stuff at all costs. Customize it for every customer.
I love that. The other thing that I like to think about too is, I'm just going to share my screen because I think we've got a little bit of time here. One thing that I love is leveraging the system tray icon also when it comes to like what to do for individual even endpoints or individual customers, because if they're using that agent contact form to submit tickets from the system tray icon, I know Brandy talks about this often and she's really great at customizing these, but I really love how these contact forms, like you can have a different contact form for different policies. So again, if you had like VIP customers or anything like that, being able to, anytime they submit a ticket, have like the issue type be something specific, assign it to a specific person, which then allows you to kick off cool ticket automations as well. Like if you want them to have a specific response or whatever it might be. I like to leverage this alongside of service level agreements, especially like Andy's mentioning. Every customer is unique in what they like to hear back right away, or what kind of steps you need to take to make your customers happy. So that's just another step that maybe you could customize to kind of like help with that flow.
Cade's asking a follow-up about SLAs. He's saying he wants different SLAs for different priorities. Kate, can I ask you really quick, is this more for hourly customers, it sounds like? Because normally for contract customers, you're just going to have a straight SLA, like anything you send me needs to get resolved in this time frame. I mean, you might have a separate one for like emergency stuff. Like I remember in my MSP days, I had a couple casinos and they might have an issue at 3 o'clock in the morning and they're losing a bunch of money. So you have to go take care of that, but that would fall under a different SLA. But it's like if person A's computer goes down or person B's computer goes down or has a network problem, like it's a different SLA. It normally doesn't work that way. So there is no way to do that internally now if that's what you're looking to do, but I would definitely rethink that a little bit, because a lot of times you don't need to get that granular with customers, and doing it kind of just makes your world a lot more complex unnecessarily.
Awesome, thank you. And Laura's asking a follow-up, where do you find the contact form policies you were just talking about? So let me just do a little screen share with you real quickly. This is truly one of my favorite things in the whole system, like Crystal said. So if you head over into your policies, and then you go to the policy modules, this is where you can set up your agent contact forms. I actually just got off a demo with someone who is wanting more customization in terms for his customers to be able to choose what types of tickets it was. And I'm like, hey, give them 6 different options from the system tray icon, because at the bottom of each of these, when you're customizing, you can choose what's required, you can choose what's going to happen. Like if they choose this option, then it's automatically going to pull in this custom field for me, which is going to have my worksheet attached and just make it like a streamlined process for you. So you can make any of these available to them. You'll go into the policy itself. And let me just open one up. You'll go down to the system tray menu options. And that's where you're actually going to choose which agent contact forms you want to give them access to. So it can say whatever you'd like and give them access, and then they'll be able to choose.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to read this one out loud. I'm also going to share my screen because Tatiana did a really great job of showing where this setting is. So let me just navigate to this setting. But what Carol's asking, and the reason I'm reading this out loud is I'm totally stalling because she's saying I discovered that I can customize what the customer sees in the charge description on invoices by using ticket tags. I have used that successfully, but I'm wondering about the difference between entering tags, the customized ticket for ticket timer charges, and customized ticket for ticket charges. It appears you can only use one of the two options. So you're right. I know that you can only use one of the two options. So let me just go there so that everyone is on the same page as me. And if anyone remembers the exact reason, please speak up, but I'm just gonna go to additional settings. This is what is fun about doing a live demo. So this right here, customize ticket for ticket timer charges and customize for ticket charges. So my understanding is this ticket timer charges is customizing when you're actually like using the timer log. Like if you're hitting play and stop and it's adding those ticket charges like Tatiana was showing within the ticket. I believe this is like when you're in a ticket and you go to the add or view charges and add a charge from there. Am I right, or does anyone know if I'm
Yes, you are 100% on the right track, Crystal. You got this.
Okay, so let me just, I guess then, if we're all on the same page, maybe what I'll do is hop over to a ticket and show you what I mean by the differences there. So if I go to a ticket real quick, let's see. Okay, so what I'm speaking about is ticket timer charges is anything logged here. That's what's going to customize using those tags for the ticket timer charges. This is ticket charges, adding things here. So I believe that you can't use them both simultaneously. You have to choose which one you want to customize using those tags.
Yes.
Okay, let me find my tools and I'll stop sharing and let Andy talk now.
Yeah, Fauzi's asking, he said he'd love to see Synchro University LMS style. Well, that's you and me both. And in one way, our fast development is like a blessing and a curse, because if we kind of sucked like everybody else and did like quarterly releases, it would be super easy to do like an LMS style university because our stuff never changes. But we're like literally adding stuff every week, which makes it super hard to do that. But if you want to ask a follow-up, like if there's anything specific that you are struggling with or you need help kind of beefing up, feel free to ask.
Can I just say, you guys take advantage of this time because you have 21 minutes with like an extremely experienced MSP and our senior product manager. Like, take advantage of this time. Ask away. Like,
this is super
I'm
rare.
over here just absorbing and learning, and I love it. So please do the same.
Yeah, and if you guys are nice to Andy, maybe he'll come back next week or something. I don't know, but I'm just floored myself sitting here that we're even like, it's so quiet, which is rare on a Friday. We're usually answering like 100 questions in an hour, so like less than a minute per question. But if Andy's here and you guys are not asking your real questions of like, how do you set up your block hours? How would you pitch SLAs versus all of like the businessy side of what you want to see in your MSP? Like this, I don't know where he is on your guys' screen, wherever he
will
is.
help you make money using Synchro. I can tell you that.
This now. Yep.
Well, while we're waiting for any of that stuff to come in, I have another question if folks want to chime in on this. I'm always interested in building stuff that I understand, like technical things will always help people do something more efficiently, faster, things like that. I'm more concerned with what can I build that would help legitimately grow your business, meaning you can buy new technicians, you can get more hours through that process. And like I said, things like, hey, can you make Windows patching better? Sure, I can. I want to know how I'm going to physically make you all more money though. Like, what can I do, especially on the PSA side, to help make that happen?
This is like a real opportunity here, folks. Like, go.
He's right here. We are not passing it to him. You can just ask him yourself right there.
Yeah, that's so true. It's like normally when we're hearing like a feature requests, when we say we're going to pass that along, this, you've got him like right, you've got him here today.
So Andy's asking, he says he hasn't used the billing invoicing side of Synchro yet. Any thoughts on how to bite the bullet and start using it? I assume if you're not using it, you're probably using like QBO or Zero or something like that and just doing stuff off the cuff. And yeah, initially I would recommend doing it a couple customers at a time. And I would try to mix up those customers. Like for instance, if you have an hourly customer, go ahead and figure out the best way to flow those hourly customers through our system. And then if you have a block hour customer, get that set up, a full ACE client, set that up too. Like the more differentiation between your customers that you can get in and learn from initially, you'll have a breeze adding everybody else beyond that point. It's the key to doing this is really learning the best flows that work for your specific company. And that's going to be different for everybody. So I would definitely take maybe like a month, and I don't know how many customers you have, but put on maybe 5 or 6 like from each category and really learn from that and then tweak it over time. And then usually after 30 days, you shouldn't have any trouble at all ramping that. Oh, and I'd also add, I don't know if you have a lot of contract customers, but you definitely should go through the KBs and stuff about our dynamic billing system. So if you don't know, this is something that MSPs waste ridiculous amounts of time on. MSPs will go off and actually pay admin people to come on and handle their billing because this crap is so complicated. It's not with Synchro. We do all that stuff for you. So if you want to bill per asset, bill for a specific asset types with custom fields, employees for backups, you can bill for license, storage, credits. There's all this crazy stuff now with Splashtop. You can count all that stuff and bill it. And this stuff happens dynamically. So you can set up a recurring invoice, say, I want to bill for every employee they have or every employee with the paid status on a specific custom field enabled. And every time that custom field runs, or excuse me, the recurring invoice runs, it's going to count all of that for you. It's going to just adjust the invoice on the fly and you never have to go back to it again. And if you've got credit card processing on there, you can have it send them a receipt every week or every month, whatever it is. And just this stuff happens in your sleep, happens at 6 a.m. You get up, everything's billed, everything's done. You don't have to spend any nonsense time on, I guess I shouldn't swear, but BS admin tasks, which is a big no-no of mine.
I love it. I'm actually going to read these out loud to you, Andy, because I'm curious what you think about this. They're patching questions. Under Windows patches, drivers are listed. We don't usually update drivers. Are these driver updates recommended to install? Do you know that?
It's really up to you. I mean, it's if you really want to trust Microsoft to know the best drivers. I mean, honestly, it's usually pretty good. At the same time, it depends. A lot of times there's like vulnerability fixes and stuff as well that can be in there. So it's probably a good idea. But that's kind of like, I don't want to recommend you do that because it may not necessarily be a best practice for you. But there's not really any harm in doing that.
Got it. Thanks.
I'll just pop in and answer a question real quick from Alex. So it is not possible to set the labor log to view all the details by default. You do have to click into the view log to be able to see those details on an individual ticket.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bowsy's asking, whoops, sorry, this scrolled up. Your bottleneck is sending out quotes. How does Synchro help? First of all, if you have a bottleneck sending out quotes, you have an awesome business. I don't know what you mean by that's a bottleneck per se. Like, are you saying that you have that many quotes to send out that you're struggling to do that through our system, or you're just looking for the best way to manage that through our system? Because there is a pretty detailed estimate system. I'd kind of like if we call that proposals, which is really what an MSP thing would be. But you know, it has like approvals and all that kind of stuff, and you can turn it into invoices and whatnot. It's pretty easy to manage. But if you want to ask a follow-up, happy to answer that.
Do you want to, are you going to grab that, the security one from Cade, Andy?
Yeah, sorry, which one is this? Go ahead. Can you read? Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course I checked the wrong one. That's why you're asking me.
Oh,
So I think you're asking for almost like per customer permissions. He's asking if he can have certain customers access certain machines or certain techs rather. The answer is not really. We do have a system for co-managed IT. So like if you take on a customer that has staff that you're kind of helping out or watching over, you can get a user license that's only scoped to that specific customer and you can assign permissions to that. But there's not a way to say like technician A can access these machines and everybody else can access these. There's not a method of doing that today.
cool. Thank you. Okay, this one from Randy. I would love some examples of how to use the API with something like Code by Zapier to update tickets versus just creating new ones. I think this would open up a lot of options for me. I don't actually have a ton of examples here on this one. I know that, we've added additional API tokens. I don't know exactly what is all available on the Zapier side. I'm curious if maybe even you could bypass Zapier because our API is so awesome. And then I was going to follow up because Fauzi says more of like the best way to create estimates. It takes a long time. The only thing I wanted to just share, like if you are creating estimates often, I think one of the things that could potentially take longer is if you weren't necessarily leveraging our products and services. Because if you have quotes that you're providing or estimates that you're providing for your customer, whether it's for monthly services or for hardware or whatever that you are often either updating, like if it's a hardware thing and it's an existing customer and it's like, I always sell this type of computer. Using our products and services doesn't mean you have to keep on-site inventory, but it's really nice to have that listed in your products and services so that when you are going to, create line items, it's literally like a couple of letters and it'll drop down and you can add something to these line items really quick. Same with managed services options. So whether it's a monthly fee or per endpoint pricing, like if you have that in your products and services, it's really easy to add those line items here. And then, when you process, this one is obviously already approved, but once you've turned this estimate out of a draft, your customers can view this straight from their portal and actually approve or decline it straight from there. So I think that like those are a couple of recommendations. If you're not leveraging the products and services to its fullest, it will take you a little bit longer to create these estimates. Okay, let's see here. The last one I was going to grab while I'm here is Alex wants to know, is there an easy way to quickly go through all open tickets along with reading updates and notes? So I think there might be a couple different ways, I guess. I'm trying to think maybe if you've got your subject the issue type. I don't know if there's the notes option to customize this. I don't think there is, because I was just going to say, you can definitely filter this list. You can, run a report for all tickets with unbilled charges or that kind of thing. But leveraging this dashboard and being able to do a saved ticket search, I would definitely look into that to see if that's helpful. Who's up?
So one of the users was asking about if I could go over the custom field stuff with him. Am I able to share my screen?
Yep.
Let me see if I don't break the world doing this. Okay. So yeah, I think you were talking about recurring invoices and custom fields and how to build specifically on that. So I'll run through this really quick. These are all different types of line items that you can put on a recurring invoice. The standard one's obviously like, hey, $100 a month for whatever. The more dynamic stuff is like this asset one, for instance. So you can say these are all just different asset types. Your Synchro device is your Synchro agents. But if you want to bill like X amount of dollars for a printer, or X amount of dollars to manage the router, whatever you want to do, it'll dynamically count these. The other thing you can do is just our normal asset save searches. You can make these as complex as you want, and they'll appear in this list. And anything that is in that list that belongs to this specific customer will get counted and billed at whatever rate you put here. So as an example, if I did it like this, this is going to, sorry, I got a bunch of stuff in here. It's this one here, the third one down. I don't have any assets on this customer, so it's showing 0, but it would basically take every single asset this customer has that meets the criteria and bill them $100 a month for every asset. All that stuff is counted for you automatically. If you want to bill by employee, which is also common, you can add any kind of custom field. So like I have one here in my account called employee status, where, and it can be active or inactive. And the reason I did that is because oftentimes I might need to keep correspondence with a particular employee, even though they might have been terminated or just left of their own volition or whatever. But then I can just go in and flag them as inactive. That way I don't lose track of that employee in my, like the CRM portion of Synchro. But if I set this to active, it's just going to count all the active employees. So it's just another way to filter that down further. You can even do RMM package, which is basically a policy. So if you want to bill for every asset belonging to a specific policy, you could do that. Like I said, the splash top stuff will be in here, and then Synchro backups, if anybody's using backups or interested in using backups, we have all sorts of ways to dynamically bill here. You can bill per license. You can give credits. So you're like, hey, under this customer's contract, they get 10 licenses, bill them for every license over that. You can bill for cloud storage. You can give them global credits or per asset credits. It gets really crazy and in depth, but you can do absolutely anything you want. And again, I can't stress how much time that this saves you, not having to have an admin person or just waste time that you should be out selling customers, kind of spending it on that kind of nonsense.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes, that is one of my favorite features in the system. So a couple questions in here. Alex is asking, right now our techs are able to edit the notes in the labor log by another tech. Is this something with their access level or something else? So great question. I'm just going to show really quickly. If you pop into admin and you go into the security groups, each tech can have different security permissions. So if you have more than one technician in your company, you definitely want to utilize this. The time logs, that would be where under manage, if you have that option, then they will be able to do so. There's a lot of other options in here regarding tickets too, so you might want to take a look at that. And then I did see Kate had a recommendation about, I think, Andy, pertaining to your question earlier, but just being able to have different triggers on automations happening faster than once an hour. Example, like ticket is changed to X status, notify this guy. That's absolutely possible, but it can take up to 1 hour because our ticket automations are run that way. And then I just want to give a shout out because Garrett says, shout out on the Mac agent. I'm moving all of my clients that don't need Adigy MDM to Syncro Mac client and moving all of those scripts into Syncro using bash scripting and emailing Syncro to create tickets based on condition. Example, battery, normal, no ticket, battery consumed, opens ticket. Awesome. Loving it. Great to hear. Awesome. Love that feedback.
Evan's asking about a custom counter in recurring invoices, but Evan, what I just showed you, it kind of is a counter. You don't really need to track that in any way. All of this is going to happen in an automated fashion, so it should really be done for you.
Andy has a quick question. I love the tickets dashboard, but it would be nice to see the ticket subject in the summary. Can this be customized or is it a quality of life request further down the line? Andy, that currently is a feature request. I'll go ahead and just share my screen because some people have not found the ticket dashboard, but that is going to be in the tickets module. And then under view, you can click into open ticket dashboard. And so that's going to be this guy right here. You will be able to see RMM alerts as well as ticket number and then customer, and then in terms of the status that's here, and then the technician that's assigned to it. You can actually color customize by ticket status currently, but I don't believe that you can see the ticket subject.
Awesome. I'll grab one here real quick. Question from Cade. Are all the possible commands available in PowerShell module documented in the new scripts page? So I'll share my screen and I'll show you guys what we do have built in. If we go over to our scripting section, whether you are importing a script from the community script library or creating a new one, which is the one that Kate is referring to, I'll show you guys what that looks like. So we're going to head over to scripts, click add new script. And yes, this PowerShell module that we have built in for you guys is available every time that you create a new script or edit a current existing script. So if you scroll down just a little bit, this is where that exists. And again, for those of you that have not seen this yet, as you're writing your script up here to automatically resolve whatever issue, you can also include any of the following commands down here just by importing the module, pasting that part up there. And then, for example, if you wanted to, you could have our script communicate basically with the PSA section and create a ticket automatically for you. Add time to the ticket, specify how much time, whether you're billing for it or not, leave some notes in there, clear arm and will automatically close the ticket. And so to answer your question directly, yes, this is available on every new script or any script that you're editing within Synchro.
Awesome. Who's next? I had to pop out and then back in, so now I can't see anything in the Q&A.
Oh, Evan said that he was referring to like Veeam backup. It would be nice for him to be able to use the API to drop how much storage that customer's using into the custom asset field, then bill based on that counter. Evan, I gotta say, that's the beauty of using Syncro backups, right? Because the dynamic counter is in there for billing. We don't want you to have to be using backups elsewhere and then billing them elsewhere and having to count up all of that storage. So it really is a time saver for you guys to be able to utilize that. But we hear ya.
Yep. Question from Steve on ticket labor logs. Is there a way to edit the start and stop time? Sometimes I just want to enter time from a previous day. Let me share my screen and I'll show you what we have going on here. So if we go over to any ticket, you can, if you click into the ticket labor log and you clear the charge, you can edit that time in there. So I'm going to go ahead and click open into a ticket. We're going to click a view log here in the labor log, just like that. And then just make sure that your time is not being charged. So this one is not being charged. So if I needed to, I could edit this here. Like the duration, the actual time frame though, cannot be edited right here. So what you could do instead is, I believe you could go back in time like this. You could say 3:25. Let's leave some notes. Yep, took us an hour to do that one thing. So to answer your question directly, this actual timestamp cannot be edited even if the charge is cleared. The time duration can be edited, or you can always go back in time here in the ticket timer log.
Alex, real quickly, since we don't have a ton of time, I'm going to drop the link for you, but he says we want to create an on-site work order where a technician can have the signed client form before with the details on the labor, parts, etc., possibly through a tablet updated into their account. Is that possible? Currently, we have paper forms. So I would use intake forms, and you can use those before the work starts. I'm going to drop the link in there. Go ahead and grab it, guys. I don't think there's any other links in here unless you want to, copy and paste my price savings for you, but go ahead and grab that link for intake outtake forms before we hop off today because it'll disappear, but sounds like that would get the job done.
I'll grab two here real quick. Fuzi says, can we get notified each time there's a new script available? I love that request. I don't know what kind of schedule the devs are on in order to review those before we publish those, but I would love to see something like that to where you can be notified like, hey, we have these 10 new scripts, because that library does grow super quickly. And then real quick, Randy says, we have time entries to set to automatically charge. This doesn't seem to work when time charges entered by scripts. Is there a way to change that? I believe there is a section in that scripting section where you have to make sure that the charge time is selected in that PowerShell module. So just make sure you take a closer look at that.
And we see everyone's comments in here. I think it was regarding Andy's question earlier. So we see these comments in here. I promise we're not just skipping them and not reading them out loud.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say a huge thank you for Andy for joining us today. That hour went by really, really fast. So thank you so much, Andy. And of course, thank you to the sales team. These are always so fun. We appreciate you all for joining. So please come back next week.
Next time,
Thanks,
bring
guys.
the money questions. Bring the money questions.
we're bringing Andy back. So
If I know you'll be here next time, I have many questions, so I will ask for you guys. Maybe you guys are just nervous for us to read your name out loud. You send me an email and I will ask Andy for you, no problem.
bye guys,
Bye,
have a
guys.
good weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.